screaming. All right, so what does this Ferrari and a Dodge Demon have in common? Neither of them are supposed to be used on the road. And I think I just crushed the rollover bar. Yeah. All right, let me retire this. So, Dodge just released, or at least it leaked out, the document that you have to sign when you buy a Dodge Demon. And that document essentially says, this car is dangerous, it doesn't belong on the road, in virtually any condition other than ideal conditions, and we're making you sign something acknowledging that, so when you do crash your car, hurt yourself, you can't sue us. Let me go through this document and I'll break it down piece by piece and sort of explain why each provision is there, in my opinion, and address why I said this car is sort of a little silly to have on the road, because in order to put down its claimed performance figures, it has to be driven in a track setup, and that's not safe. And not safe, like there's a lot of manufacturers that make track cars, the Cup cars and everything like that, the Super Trofeo series with the Lamborghinis, the Ferrari Challenge series. They're not designed for the road. They're not sold with a VIN to be registered for road use. And the Dodge Demon is, and that's the problem. If they sold it for a track car, look, you want to buy a track car with a warranty? Right there, that's a great track car. It'll put down a mid-9-second quarter-mile time, and you're not going to go wrong with that. But they decided to sell it for road use, which I think is the entire problem here. Let's look at that document. All right, so here's the disclosure. And I'll actually link this in the description of the Jalopnik article I caught this from. First thing that you have to acknowledge, customer hereby acknowledges and agrees that the customer shall have full responsibility and shall assume all risk related to the use, features, and applications in the vehicle, and shall only use the features and applications when it is safe to do so. Failure to do so may result in an accident involving serious injury or death. That means the car is pretty sketchy, but that's pretty boilerplate. That would end up in any sports car. You could say that about virtually any vehicle. Number 2, customer shall read and fully understand the vehicle's owner's manual, user's guide, 2018 Demon supplement, and 2018 Demon tips card in its entirety prior to operating the vehicle, which means this car is especially dangerous. If factory installed passenger and or rear seats of the vehicle are or have been removed, no person or persons shall be in those areas. If the factory installed passenger and or rear seat of the vehicle are removed, customer acknowledges that in the case of a collision or other accident, people riding in those areas are more likely to be seriously injured. So if you don't have seats, don't put anyone in the car, is the rough language there. If the vehicle is not factory equipped with a passenger seat, customer shall never attempt to install a passenger seat because passenger will not be properly protected. That's sort of sketch, because I mean I've got race seats in my Corvette and I feel properly protected. That is definitely lawyer language for we've got weird airbags or potentially no airbags in areas, and if something does happen and you don't go to the dealer to have them install a proper seat, and even with a proper seat you're still subject to getting injured or die, because that's what it says in paragraph 1. So I don't really get that one. That's just saying if you didn't order it with a seat, don't put one in. But I mean, everything here is the ominous, like, this car is really dangerous. Customer shall never use any track use features, functions, equipment, or parts on public roads or any other prohibited area. The intended use of track use features, functions, equipment, or parts is for race vehicles on race tracks. It's funny that they put that in there because the car is essentially a race car being sold through a dealership in race form, but you're not supposed to drive it on the street. But unless it's, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. That sort of defeats the purpose of why this car was built. If you want to build a track car, build a caged out track car, sell it as a track car, and don't make it showroom dealer VIN numbered car that you can just go register and drive with all of these conditions. The vehicle's Nitto drag tires meet the U.S. Department of Transportation requirements, but they're not intended for highway use as the expected miles and wear and tear from the racing compound is generally reduced. They don't even mention that the drag radials have pretty terrible sidewall, so they get very bouncy at speed, but otherwise it's saying don't drive on these race tires on the street, even though we're going to sell it to you with those. The drag tires are not recommended for driving in wet weather conditions when there is a risk of hydroplaning. Of course, drag tires are terrible. Most track tires are terrible. They're either designed for wet or dry. If they're designed for dry, they get better traction, but there is no way you should risk yourself driving them in the wet. That's common sense, but since they're selling you with those tires on there, that's why they're highlighting that. Customers shall not move the vehicle temperature in temperatures below 15 degrees Fahrenheit with drag tires. You don't even move it. They don't even want you driving it in your driveway if it's cold outside. Drag tires can lose flexibility that may lead to cracking and other tire damage. That's sort of saving your drag tires. But a set of drag tires, you could burn through them in a weekend. So it's not really a big deal. Customers shall always inspect the drag tires for signs of cracking and damage before use. Common sense. Customer understands that the vehicle in the following colors may not be available. That's a fair thing to sign. But if you're receiving your car, then what do you have to sign this for? Because you're already receiving a car. Number 12. Customer shall not tighten lug nuts fully until the vehicle has been lowered to the ground. So don't tighten it from a jack. This is like basic car 101. But please refer to the vehicle owner's manual. So like if you don't understand how to tighten lug nuts, you probably shouldn't even be touching your wheels. The undersigned customer, for themselves and their personal representatives and heirs and next of kin, voluntarily acknowledges and agrees that he or she has read fully and understands the customer agreement and do blah blah. So that means like, yeah, I got it, I read it, and I'm signing it, and I'm acknowledging that I read it and signed it. The undersigned customer is executing this document knowingly and voluntarily. So that means like you're of sound mind and you're not drunk when you're signing it. And waives any and all claims against FCA, US, LLC, and or the dealer. So you can't sue anyone if you hurt yourself with this car. That's what that's saying. For residents of the state of California only, I love the California clauses, customer hereby waives any and all rights that he or she may have under the provisions of Section 1542 of the Civil Code, State of California, that says a general release does not extend to claims in which the creditor does not know or suspect to exist in his or her favor at the time of executing the release, which, if known by him or some material effect, blah, blah. Okay, that's nonsense. So you're saying that California's imposed a law, that you're superseding this law by signing that you're acknowledging that the California law doesn't apply, or at least that statute. And then the undersigned voluntary acknowledges with the respect, this is number 15, the last section, the purchase of this vehicle at or below MSRP, thereby qualifying this vehicle, order priority and scheduling provided. However, the vehicles in the following colors are delayed because the colors aren't available, which is sort of weird to me. But that's essentially Dodge's way of saying if the dealership is selling this above sticker, they're trying to combat that. They're trying to get people, they're trying to get them out on the street and the track, or not the street really, but they're trying to get them out on the tracks to people that are paying list price. I don't think if there is a market above MSRP that anyone's going to sell it below, but that's essentially saying that the cars sold at MSRP will be built first. Any car that the dealer is selling over MSRP is not going to be built until all the MSRP cars are built, essentially, or there's a priority. Problem with that is there's nothing that's going to protect the secondary market. An owner is going to buy a car, drive it 100 miles, say, well, it's really scary, and let the dealer sell it as a used car for the markup and split the markup, or they're just going to run and sell it themselves. Who knows what that's going to be, but it's a valiant effort. It's a valiant attempt by Dodge to combat the flipping market. And then you're also acknowledging that that's a yes or no. The purchase price is at sticker or lower, or no, the purchase price is not at or below MSRP, and you acknowledge the vehicle does not qualify for priority scheduling. That means we're going to sort of shuffle you down the road to whenever we feel like producing your car. If you're paying over list, which is the biggest D-bag thing in the planet. That's sort of saying like the dealer's really screwing you, because you're now saying, I'm willing to pay more, but I'm also acknowledging that by me paying more, I'm going to get worse treatment than people are paying less. And that sort of goes against everything. You're usually paying more to get the car first. So what does this document mean? This document is essentially saying that Dodge produced a car that is only really designed for the track. It's not really safe to drive on the street in virtually any condition other than a perfect day. They're saying don't drive it in the rain, don't drive it when it's cold. And you're signing all these waivers stating that, like, yeah, I get it. So that's what that little Ferrari and the Dodge Demon have in common. This problem could have been solved by just selling it as a track car. Track cars generally won't sell over MSRP. I understand the value in driving it on the street because people want to drive to and from the track. But if you're selling it in a configuration that's not really safe to drive on the street, it's really, I don't know, it's a silly car to me. Manufacturers make it where they sell track cars. This just happens to be a track car for a drag strip, which is not as common for a manufacturer to sell. But you could sell it without a VIN number. If somebody wants to throw their sketch dealer plate on it, great. Or you just trailer the car to the track. I mean, it's nice to have a warranty track car. It's nice to sell a track car with a warranty. But ultimately, if you're going to make everyone sign everything, all you're doing is stating that the car is dangerous to be used on the road and that they shouldn't really be driving it on the road. And even driving it on the track, you understand it's a really dangerous car. And that's sort of why the car is sort of silly. If you're looking for specifically, if you want a drag car, if you want a bracket race and run that 9.5, 9.6, whatever it is every time, then you go out and you buy it. You buy a consistent, manufacturer-focused and built track car that you can do consistent times at the drag strip. That's great. It's the car for you. If you want just to go screaming down the road and have a good time, just go with a Hellcat. Don't go with a Demon. That's my opinion. Dodge is doing everything they can to sort of try to control this, and the legal team's like, what are you doing? Why are you selling that car? And this is sort of their response. We know it's dangerous. It shouldn't really be driven on the roads, but we're sort of hoping that there's a customer there for that, and there probably will be, but let's see how this car weathers the next couple of years. Let's see how many of them get racked up real quick. I'm sure we'll see first on Jalopnik, first crash Demon right here, because as soon as a Demon crashes, everyone's going to be all over that. So stay tuned, guys. Thanks for watching. It's a car that, you know what, it belongs in a racetrack, and that's it. I don't think it should have a VIN number. Let me know your thoughts below. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. I love you, and I will see you next time, or tomorrow, or just watch another video because I've got lots of them.